Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of Love Off Script. I'm your host, Stephanie Love, and I'm really, really excited to be here and sharing with you all of my thoughts, ideas, experiences when it comes to love and relationships in the wild world of dating in 2025. And as someone who has entered her soft girl era, so wanting to date in a different way than I may have been taught to in my early days. So I'm very grateful for you to be here today. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to me, to all the things that I've got to share, all the wisdom that I've had in my 20 years of dating and relationships, and all the things that I've learned along the way. In this episode, what I'm going to be sharing with you is a little bit about the format of the podcast, the frequency, a little bit about my intention and my idea behind it, why I wanted to start this and bring it all to you, and a little bit about me and my journey and my love experiences. And then at the end, I want to share with you something that I've learned this year, that's really helped me in my journey when it comes to love. So, how this podcast is going to work is it's going to be completely unedited. This is not edited, it's completely off the cuff. It's so raw, it's so vulnerable, and there might be tears, there might be real emotion, there might be triggers, there might be things that come up as you're listening to this that might come up for you as well. But my intention is to inspire, is to share, it's to let you know all the wisdom that I've learned in my 20 years of dating, and maybe you might feel not alone in your experiences. So, why I started this particularly and why I've called it Love Off Script is in my 20s, I was like most people thought, okay, by the time I'm 30, I'll be married, I'll have children, I'll start a family, buy a house, have the white picket fence. And for me, it hasn't gone that way. And that's not so bad. I'm single, I'm 38, and I have had so many amazing experiences along the way that I'm grateful for, but also a lot of painful ones, which I will share as time goes on. And so my idea of what I expected my relationship life and my love life to be like has gone completely off script. And so that's the idea behind bringing you Love Off Script. So a little bit about me. My name is Stephanie Love. I think I mentioned I'm 38. I live in beautiful Aotearoa, New Zealand, and I've grown up here over the past 38 years. And I have had so many experiences. I've lived in 10 different cities in three different countries. I decided that I was going to go to university. I went to primary school. I had a great upbringing in a beautiful coastal town. Went to university for 3 years, went and traveled, went over to the States, came home, got a corporate job, and I had been working as an HR practitioner for 14 years. And about 5 years ago, I through a relationship, which I will get into, I discovered that I wasn't actually living my authentic way. The life that I was living was the one that I thought I was supposed to live, not the one that was meant for me. And I embarked on a spiritual journey. So I experimented with lots of different modalities, including becoming an angelic Reiki master, a breathwork practitioner, doing hypnotherapy, doing coaching. I've just recently retrained as a personal coach as well. Um, and doing a lot of cacao ceremonies. I drink cacao every day. I absolutely love it. And so through that healing journey, I started to identify some of my patterns, and especially when it comes to relating and dating, trauma bonding, attachment styles, all of that. So that was the last 6 years, and I had known what it was to have an anxious attachment style. I knew my wounds. I knew the patterns that I was playing. I knew the things that I had subconsciously picked up through childhood, which was no one's fault because I firmly believe that everyone's always doing the best they possibly can with what they have. But however, I developed attachment style, which was probably not the healthiest when it comes to dating and personal relating, which I'm sure many of you will be able to relate to as well. And so I did a lot of work in the last 5 years around anxious attachment, around understanding my patterns, around looking at the relationships that I had and maybe recognizing that perhaps they weren't actually true love, they were actually potentially trauma bonding. And so it was armed with that knowledge that I started to do a lot of work on myself. I wasn't jumping straight into relationships that I might have in the past. I was recognizing signs. I was taking a step back as well because one of the things that I've learned, particularly over the past few months, is that I really want to date as someone in my soft girl era. I believe that we've really been taught to and told as women to date like men, like shoot your shot, get your man, make the first move, all of that. And absolutely nothing wrong with that if that's something that you want to do and that's the way that you feel inclined to. And if you feel an urge to do that, like there's no disrespect when it comes to that. But I wanted to experience a different kind of way of relating to people, and that's in my soft girl era. And that's going, hey, it's safe to receive. It's actually safe to sit back and be in my own power and be in my own energy and attract rather than force. Um, to be magnetic rather than chase. Because in the past, I have chased men and I have attracted emotionally unavailable men and chased them, and that was my anxious attachment style at play. So I did a lot of work in this in the last 5 years, worked with coaches, therapists, and then earlier this year, I had another experience where it was like all my wounds were brought to the surface, all my subconscious healing. And in a lot of ways, for me, it was really devastating because I thought I'd done all the work. I thought I had healed my attachment style. I thought I was so much more secure in my attachment style. I knew about attachment styles. I knew about trauma bonding. I even at the time thought, there's no way that this is my person. The universe wouldn't send me somebody whose lifestyle was so different to mine. And so I thought maybe this was trauma bonding. And so it was a bit of a blow to be like, oh my God, I've done all this healing work, I've done all this foundation work, and now I'm actually experiencing this again. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck, universe? By the way, there's going to be a lot of swearing in this. I'm not going to filter myself. And so over the past few months, I've been through a real inner winter where I've actually had to sit with and reflect on and actually face a lot of the things that this relationship brought up for me when it came to my attachment and when it came to relating and when it came to actually abandoning myself and actually letting parts of myself be dimmed down or quieted because it meant keeping that person, even though perhaps they weren't meant to be in my life long term. And so I had to sit with that. And it was frustrating because I was like, oh my God, I've done all this work and now I'm still attracting this. Like, this is so fucked up. But then I, over time, started to pull myself out of it a little bit. And then one day, I had this like flash of inspiration, and I think I must have seen it like on a Instagram post or a TikTok video or something like that, maybe a reel, where it was like knowledge is different to embodiment. And what had happened was is that I knew about all of those things, but I hadn't yet embodied them and my nervous system wasn't regulated, even though I'm a breathwork practitioner and I was doing breathwork every day. I was meditating every day, and but I hadn't actually sat with the feeling of it is safe. I am safe in my body. I am safe in this environment. And interestingly, in that relationship, I felt really held. I felt really safe, but I was outsourcing my safety to somebody else. I hadn't yet learned how to be safe within myself. And my mantra over the past few months was, it is safe to receive, which is also part of the reason why the ending of that relationship was quite painful because I'd outsourced my safety and then that was gone because it actually brought to the surface that I hadn't been regulated and wasn't safe within myself. So that's one of the reasons I also wanted to start this podcast and share this conversation with you was because there's a difference between knowledge and embodiment. Excuse me. So we can know and read and understand and hear about all of these things about when it comes to healthy relating and being chosen and getting your desires and having a healthy relationship. And we can read, do as much mindset work as we want. We can do so many affirmations. I've done affirmations for freaking Africa. And then we can still attract those experiences into our life because we have not yet embodied it into our system. And for me, that was the part that was really missing. And that was the part that relationship showed me that I needed to heal. So, as part of that, I'm about to start working with a somatic trauma practitioner to actually help me understand where those parts of me sitting in the body, the energetic, subconscious parts, may actually need some more healing, more safety, more work done so that I can attract a healthy, safe, embodied, consistent relationship. I also wanted to talk a little bit about the thing that I've learned and and it is around what the difference is between true love and trauma bonding because they can feel really similar. I have used ChatGPT as my therapist, I'm not gonna lie, this year. ChatGPT has been my therapist, and if anyone can get into my ChatGPT and hack it, you will see everything that I've used it as a therapist. And it's very vulnerable, but it's also been very validating. So, in the past, I always thought that true love was like the movie style love. I'm a hopeless romantic. I'm such a softie. I've got deep levels of compassion and empathy, and I feel everything. And especially once I had my awakening 6 years ago, I felt everything on a really deep level. So I always really wanted that movie style love, and I thought, that's what true love was. And all the love songs I'm just obsessed with, and especially the tragic ones. And what I've come to realize is that actually probably is more likely trauma bonding and intermittent reinforcement. So trauma bonding is where you attract someone to your life who reflect back to you your subconscious wounds. And it can be a really painful but really magnetic relationship. And it honestly feels like you're addicted, you are on drugs. That person is like a drug you just can't quit. And it may feel like true love. And I recently watched Back to Black, the Amy Winehouse biography movie biopic, and I was like, oh my God, I wonder if, what she was experiencing was trauma bonding because I related to a lot of what she had experiences in my what she was experiencing and sharing in my past relationships, like this complete obsession. But what it is, it's actually your nervous system's connecting when it comes to your unhealed wounds, and it's probably not the safest form of love, even though there might be love, even though there might be really strong connection. And what I was doing was I was confusing that really strong connection, and thinking like meant to be and it's fated and all of that with actually what true love, what true healthy, consistent love is. Even though, again, in my mind, I knew what it was, and I'm like, there's no way I'm accepting less than that. There's no way that, I'm going to be chasing someone who's emotionally available like I had in the past. And so what I kind of realize is that true love feels quite different. And maybe actually in my relationship past, which is kind of sad, is I might not have actually experienced what it was to have true love, that I might have actually been experiencing trauma bonding in the past. And the other really key one that I learned about as well, and this is through ChatGPT, was about intermittent reinforcement. Now, intermittent reinforcement is where somebody gives you just enough to keep you on the hook. So there's a little bit, and it's the same dopamine hit and the same chemical responses in your body as gambling. So it's like they give you just enough to keep you. And when you're someone who's been emotionally starved in the past, it might have been a long time since you had, the oxytocin that comes with the close physical connection with somebody and the physical intimacy, then it's like when you have a really delicious meal and then suddenly that gets taken away and you like, there could be another delicious meal that's coming, but you're completely starved and you're like addicted to the idea of, oh my God, maybe I can get this delicious meal. And ChatGPT told me about intermittent reinforcement, and I was just like, oh my God, that's what I've been experiencing in the past because in the past in my in relationships, that's what I was craving. I was craving connection. I'm a lover girl. I'm in my soft girl era. I hate the idea of like going on heaps of dates. I like just having one person and spending that time and having that companionship. sharing meals together, doing the things you love together, just quiet time together. Could be watching a movie or a TV series, even just having someone to sleep next to. And so the idea that I was getting just enough to keep me on the hook was really clear that it was my wounds that were speaking, and I was experiencing intermittent reinforcement, which is also what I had in my past relationships. Um, I thought in the past I was on the twin flame journey, and I've since realized that that was just a catalyst and might have been what's called a karmic relationship, where it feels so intense, super faded, spiritual. And it's because it's come to wake you up it's come to you for a reason. And I've also experienced those kind of relationships in the past as well. But yeah, I had this idea that I really wanted movie love. I wanted spiritual love. All the songs, I wanted that feeling. But what I come to realize is that that's actually probably not true love. True love is consistency, it's healthy, it's commitment, it's talking to one another, it's loyalty, it's groundedness, it's safe. You don't ever have to question or ask or doubt or wonder where you stand with somebody. And so, as sad as it was, I think I maybe never experienced true love in the past before. But what it made me realize is it's actually an entirely different feeling. And what I was attracting and what I thought was love was actually trauma bonding and intermittent reinforcement. So yeah, and I think that's kind of reflected in a lot of my past relationships, but I wanted to share that because I think some people, who are in their 30s, who are going through similar things or have been through similar things, might actually be experiencing intermittent reinforcement and trauma relationships. So, just a little bit more about trauma relationships. I'm actually also going to be training as a sort of like as a trauma specialist in helping people, particularly women, embody safety and re regulation in their nervous system so they can attract happy, healthy relationships. So, as much as this experience and my love journey has been a bit painful, it has actually put me on a trajectory and a path where I can actually help other people, which I think is really cool. Excuse me. I've been talking a lot because you can hear it in my throat. So just a little bit more about just basically, I wanted to share a little bit of an example about subconscious wounding and what it might mean to attract a trauma bond. Is an example I had recently was I hurt my wrist. I fell from I was up cleaning a cupboard. This is a classic manifestor in human design. I was having a manic day. I was cleaning the cupboards on top of the kitchen. Didn't have a ladder. I was just standing on the bench, like classic me. And then I lost my balance, jumped down from the kitchen bench onto the floor, and I smacked my wrist like right on the bone onto the bench, and it bruised up immediately. It was like really fat and really bruised, and was basically bruised for a few days after that, week or so. And that was a few weeks ago now. So I thought that it had healed. I was like, I'd done the work and it's like, back to full use. And then this morning, as an example, I was opening my window, and when I was pulling my hand back, I actually smacked my hand down on the windowsill. And that's exactly what a trauma bond does. It's what you think is actually healed, because that was bloody painful. And I was in a lot of pain, and I was like, how is that so sore? I thought I had healed that. And that's what these relationships do. They, you think that you might have healed that, but all it takes is bashing it on a wall, a windowsill, a window frame, very briefly, smacking it down, and then that pain is back and it's stronger than ever, and you're like, oh my God, I thought I healed this, but actually it's not healed. And that is why embodiment is where it's at. It's all about the embodiment of the subconscious wounds. But sometimes we need those experiences to show us where we're unhealthy. And I see a lot of people talking about relationships and how they're struggling to date. Things have changed a lot when it comes to dating, especially from when I was dating like 10 years ago in my late 20s. Um, I was actually asking ChatGPT about it because I was wondering, why is dating so much more different and difficult now than it was 10 years ago when a lot of my friends were meeting their partners for the first time? And one of the things that I thought was really interesting that ChatGPT said was that because we're meeting people that are maybe more anonymous, like through dating apps and online social media, Instagram, what have you, TikTok. Um, we're not meeting people in our own communities anymore, which is when I was younger, you would date people that you knew. They were friends of friends. You knew people who knew them, so they basically came with references. And there was actually accountability in the community. So if someone wasn't going to treat you very nicely, or if someone did something that wasn't so great, then that meant that they were accountable to other people because other people would know them. But that's totally changed and that's totally different now. And so I wanted to share a different perspective on when it came to what it's like to date in 2025. And I'm not in any dating apps. I'm not a big dater, like I said before. I am totally in my it is safe to receive kind of era. And one of the people I follow, which I love, is Mel Wells, Melissa Wells, and she talks about being in your feminine energy, about taking a step back, about being safe and being it's safe to receive. So I'm really excited to be going in that direction and dating from that perspective as well. So this is for the girls that are in their soft girl era, women who are wanting to date like women and not date like men, which is what we have been taught to do in 2025. And I've talked to a few friends about this because it's wonderful that we have economic independence now as women. I'm a feminist. I have done a lot of work when it comes to gender equality. A lot of the work I've done in HR is around diversity and inclusion, particularly equal pay, is a real passion of mine. And so I'm a really big believer when it comes to equality. However, I feel like in a lot of ways, particularly when it comes to the corporate world, is that women have been taught to be more like men, to get ahead, to strive, to push, to protect, to overachieve. And I've definitely been that person, and it has actually got me quite far in my HR career, which has been a good thing because I've been lucky enough to be able to earn good money from that. But it was coming from a really wounded place. So where was I going with that? So what I want to share is a different perspective of when it comes to dating, where we can actually sit back and receive and be wooed and be a bit like it used to be when it came to dating, but also be desired, be cherished, be chosen, um, and not have to worry about going out there and making the first move and dating like a man. And if there's one thing that I could leave you with today on this episode is if you are a single woman and you are wanting to call in that relationship, attract that person that you're wanting to build a life with, take a step back, sit back and do nothing, do less, and create the space for that to come in and see what that feels like in your body. Does that feel discomfort? Does that feel uncomfortable to you, creating that space to be able to receive and take a step back? I just would love to know if you're doing this exercise, if you're listening to this, um, what comes up for you and what you feel when you do that, because that's one of the things that I had to learn is that, and I'm still learning, but this is where where we go through on the embodiment journey, and how we embody more of this is actually being safe in that space that we create, where we're not pushing, where we're not striving, where we're not pushing, like putting our energy out. We're actually opening to receiving. And what that does is create space. And sometimes for some of us who are used to doing everything, who are used to initiating, who are used to moving forward, who are used to being the first one to do things, that can be really uncomfortable. So I would love for you to do that little exercise, to sit back, to take some breaths, to sit and create that space. And the mantra I have in my head is, it is safe to receive. And just see how that feels in your body. If it's bringing up discomfort, you could be, putting your energy out. You could be pushing, you could be in your masculine energy, which is not a bad thing because that's what we've been taught to achieve, to do, to push. But it might mean that your feminine side of you also wants to be nourished, to be chosen, to be desired. And I mean, I'm looking for the kind of love that's hot and passionate out there and there's chemistry, I'm not looking for the boring thing, but you can still have that, I'm telling you, and holding that space for the softness, for the gentle, for the nourishment as well. So, a little bit more about the podcast. I'm really excited because I'm going to be having guests on. People might be in relationships, they might be single, they might be looking for love, they might not. They might be celibate for many years, or they might be experimenting with dating apps. It's going to be a real range of people that I talk to, but I just wanted to get a different perspective on dating and love in 2025. And like I said, this is unedited, it's unpolished. The videos don't have any filters on them as well. It's completely raw, completely me. There's no intro, like there's no jingle. There's nothing like that. It's literally just me talking and sharing with you my experiences. I don't know what the frequency is going to be like. It's just going to be like when I feel inspired. So don't wait for a weekly email. Don't wait for a weekly episode drop. It could be any time. It's just when I feel inspired, and it works out to speak to guests as well. The intention is for this to be on Spotify and on YouTube. So I'm recording right now to go on YouTube to be a video version as well. Um, what else do you need to know? I think that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'd love to answer your questions online. Anything specifically when it comes to love, dating, and relationships. As a woman in my late 30s, someone living in New Zealand, someone who's traveled a lot, who loves to travel. Um, yeah, so if I can leave one thing with you at the end of this podcast, it is around embodiment and that little exercise of when it comes to being safe to receive. And I just would like to leave that with you to have a little bit of a think about. And I'd love to know if it resonates with you, if what I've said resonates with you, if there's anything on here that you're like, oh my God, Steph, like, yes, that's what I wanted to hear, or that's what I need to hear, and thank you for sharing. Please let me know because I love hearing all of that stuff. But yeah, I guess that wraps up the first episode of Love Off Script. I'm buzzing to be able to share this all with you. And over time, talk about my own relationship experiences as well. I think I said I'm not on dating apps. I'm not actively dating, but I am, and probably not quite just yet, but um, I will be sharing with you any romantic experiences that come up. Think of this as like the podcast version of Sex and the City, but in 2025, and coming at it from an embodied way, as a wonderful feminine and bringing it to you in soft girl era energy. Okay, well, thank you so much for listening. It's been my pleasure to share this with you today, and I look forward to hearing from you. And we will be doing our next episode very soon with our very special first guest, who I already know who that person is. And we're going to be talking all about love and relationships in our 30s. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Sending you so much love. Bye.